Good morning. President Park Geun-hye shares the government's plans on increasing overseas business opportunities and increasing jobs for the unemployed. The Islamic State terrorist group claims responsibility for the massacre at Tunisia's National Bardo Museum, with forecasts of more killings to come. The rising demand for more efficient monitoring calls for sophisticated and smarter security cameras. With this demand, technological advancements follow. And 3 actors making waves around the world. We get up close and personal look at the 3 Musketeers on Korea Today, Friday, March 20th, 2015.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And a good Friday morning. Thank you for joining us on Korea Today. I'm Kim Young alongside Kim Min-jung and Jin Ju.
Good morning. For those of you who are still planning on what to do over the weekend, we have a perfect idea for you. Why don't you travel down to Jeollanam-do province, where camellia flowers will be in full bloom by next Monday. There's a camellia forest with some 20,000 camellia trees there near Cheongwansan Mountain in Jeollanam-do province.
And the interesting thing about camellias is apparently when the petals fall, it's not when it's time to fall, the petals don't fall one by one, but the whole flower falls to the ground. So they're even, beautiful still on the ground. So maybe Jinju and I can go down there and do that, put it on your hair.
Picking.
Right, and apparently the best time to enjoy these flowers is the months of March and April, so don't miss out.
That's right, don't miss out on that. It's a good 5 to 6 hour drive maybe if there is a little bit of traffic down there from the capital, but it is well worth it. All right, we're going to jump to our top story for this morning. Increasing foreign investment, widening inroads into foreign countries for local companies, and employing the youth of Korea were the main topics on the agenda on Thursday as President Park Geun-hye called for an overhaul of regulations as part of efforts to boost the economy. Speaking at the 7th round of talks on boosting trade and investment at the presidential office of Cheongwade, the president announced plans to support the expansion of Korean businesses to overseas markets, particularly to the Middle East. The Ministry of Strategy and Finance says Korean construction companies are aiming to win orders worth $80 billion by 2017, which in turn could lead to job creation. The president called on officials to tackle youth unemployment by providing assistance for them to get jobs abroad. According to government data, the jobless rate stood at 4.6% last month, the highest in 5 years, with the youth unemployment rate at its highest in 16 years at roughly 11%.
The commander of U.S. Forces Korea says South Korea and the U.S. need to work together to enhance their missile defense system against growing threats from North Korea. General Curtis Scaparrotti submitted a written testimony to the U.S. House Subcommittee on Defense on Wednesday, local time, which read in part that it's critical that the two allies build a, quote, layered and interoperable ballistic missile defense due to the evolving threat from the North. Some analysts believe these comments signal that the top U.S. military commander in South Korea is calling for the deployment of THAAD, or the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense Battery, designed to intercept high-altitude missiles. The issue has been a political hot potato in Korea and around Korea as well, with neighboring countries, notably China, opposing the move, saying the anti-missile system hinders regional peace and stability.
Korea's main bourse closed at the highest so far this year on Thursday, with the local currency making its strongest daily gain in 5 weeks against the dollar, following the U.S. Federal Reserve's announcement signaling a dovish benchmark rate increase. The benchmark Kospi ended 0.5% higher at 2,037.89 points at the end of Thursday's trading day, marking the highest for this year. The U.S. Central Bank removed the word patient from its policy statement, but sounded caution on its status of economic recovery. Federal Reserve officials adjusted their median forecast for the federal funds rate at year-end to 0.625 from previous expectations of 1.125. With the news from the March Federal Open Market Committee, the Korean won made its highest percentage gain in over a month, finishing onshore trade at 1,117.21 to the dollar.
A recent study by Korea's National Human Rights Commission shows that people living in the Seoul metropolitan area are exposed to surveillance cameras an average of 83 times a day. Now, this shows how widespread surveillance cameras are these days. And with other technological developments these days, these surveillance cameras are getting smarter by the day. And for more on this, we're now joined by Arirang News' Kim Jian here in the studio. Good morning, Jian.
Good morning, Shinju. As you mentioned, CCTVs or closed-circuit surveillance system is pretty much everywhere in Korea. Name it like shops, public transportation, and highways. And there's an estimated 2.7 million CCTVs installed and managed by government agencies and also by individuals who want it for private security concerns. And with these technological advancements, more accurate and faster CCTVs or cameras are being installed, and so take a look.
An employee starts to walk around without wearing a safety mask and gear. The situation is instantly detected by one of the cameras and is reported straight to the safety administrator. This so-called Smart Video Management System, or SVMS, developed by Samsung S1, was unveiled, boasting capabilities of preemptive detection of dangerous situations.
We film a site for a month and find a pattern to determine unsafe conditions based on the camera's 14 algorithms. There are 6 more categories for various industries. The system can detect and send warning signals to the administrators, allowing a swift response.
It's a major improvement from previous CCTVs, merely used for recording past occurrences. The SVMS detects potential danger signals and alerts those monitoring the area. By pulling it up on a central screen, the system reduces human error. Previously, an administrator would have to watch multiple screens of surveillance at all times simultaneously. According to the Samsung developer, in this case, the success rate of detecting something suspicious drops to 55% if you're monitoring multiple screens for more than 10 minutes. The rate falls dramatically to 5% after 20 minutes. Due to this lack of efficiency, the smart surveillance industry is considered a field that needs more development, with the government saying it will make investments worth $6.3 million over the next 5 years on such systems. Currently, there are about 70 smart systems set up by districts such as Gangnam-gu and Seongbuk-gu in Seoul. The Korea Creative Contents Agency says the local market for smarter CCTVs is expected to grow annually by 27% to reach a market size of $2 billion by 2017.
So, Jian, what kind of dangers can the smart surveillance cameras detect, or in what situation could these systems be activated?
Well, the smart SVS system, or the smart video management system that we've just witnessed, is very sensitive to movements. When a person comes in, it first calculates the speed and dexterity of the moving object, and then it goes to establish if that person is an intruder through its facial recognition program. And it's a very intricate program. It can tell twins apart because it checks features of the face and thousands of points of the face. And also the same recognition program is used to locate a particular employee or a personnel or a resident. And by calculating the speed and the angle of the movements, it can also detect when violence erupts or when a human is unconscious. And also what's very interesting is that if containers with hazardous materials are stored, it can also, by calculating the slope of the container, it can alert the administrator whether it's tipping over or if it should be handled properly.
So it's really getting smarter by the day. But I understand that there must be some concerns about these smarter surveillance cameras, like privacy, perhaps.
It is a valid concern, and I've asked security companies what are they doing about that, and they do concede to a certain degree that you have to give up some sort of your privacy, the right to privacy for security. But to minimize the risk, they're coming up with countermeasures. the employee that I talked to said that he has blurring. He blurs all the faces of the employees or the people there, and they only need only if there's a government warrant will they take out that mask feature.
The blurry part of the face.
The blurry part of the face.
All right. Thank you, Jian, for that report this morning.
My pleasure.
Good morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers. Today there's all sorts of topics on the local papers, but we'll go ahead and begin with the top headline on 동아일보 to begin with diplomatic front. And it says here, new balance in diplomacy, era of security with the U.S., economy with China. So this paper says that according to a government source, Korea will go ahead and join the China-led Regional Development Bank, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, as a founding member and sign a written agreement citing the terms of shares this June. If we go ahead and look at the details here, observers say that many Asian countries are pushing for a new diplomatic strategy of siding with the U.S. in terms of security and siding with China in terms of the economy, which comes particularly as Asia has now become an arena of hegemonic competition between the U.S. and China. As for Korea, too, it seems that this two-sided diplomatic approach will be the likely scenario, with Korea purportedly gearing up to join the AIIB for an economic boost, while agreeing to review the deployment of a THAAD missile defense battery on Korean soil for aid in its security. And now moving on to another diplomatic story here on 중앙일보 regarding the U.S. and China. The headline reads, 70 years since defeat in war, Abe to make a joint speech at U.S. upper and lower houses. Let's go ahead and look at the sub-headlines here. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will be visiting the White House to meet with U.S. President Barack Obama next month. And according to U.S. and Japanese diplomatic sources, he plans to deliver a joint speech at the U.S. upper and lower houses, which would be the first of its kind for a Japanese prime minister. And observers say the realization of such an address will signify the reinforcement of the U.S.-Japan alliance. And the paper adds that the U.S. visit and the speech marking the end of World War II may offer Abe a good chance to show a change in attitude and receive support from the U.S. when it comes to the issue of wartime atrocities that took place against countries such as Korea and China. Meanwhile, this is a picture of U.S. First Lady Michelle Obama, who is currently in Tokyo to promote a girls' education initiative, sharing a conversation with the Japanese Prime Minister. Please do stay tuned for more details on this with our Eunice Kim later in Global Update. We'll go to another local news now on 경향신문. Take a look at this image here. It's called Grass Laid at Seoul Plaza to welcome spring. So in light of the arrival of spring, the Seoul Plaza, located in downtown Seoul that holds many public events and cultural festivals, was laid with grass yesterday. The plaza will be open to the public on the 25th of next month after all of the grass takes hold in the ground. Finally, we'll wrap with a look at the economy here on the Mail Business newspaper. And this story is called Korea Must Make Inroads into Asian Infrastructure Market with the Korea Package. This is here in the image at the 24th Vision Korea National Conference hosted by The Daily, attended by some 400 politicians, economists, and government officials. Now we'll take a look at these sub-headlines here. President Park Geun-hye said in a congratulatory speech, a video message rather, that Korea should turn its eye to the Asian infrastructure market to overcome slow economic growth and realize another economic miracle by exporting a Korean-style city via what's been dubbed the Korea Package that incorporates financial, legal, and accounting services, particularly by combining the strengths of the sectors of information technology, construction, medical, and finance. Now that was a look at our local headlines this Friday, and following are the stock numbers from Thursday.
It could really be said that now is the epitome of spring. Yesterday, the weather was just so nice and toasty and just beautiful.
Yes, it was. It was almost warm enough that some people might have been tempted to use their air conditions, but I think it's a little bit too early. But it's supposed to be a little bit warmer today. We'll check on the weather forecast for today, as well as a peek into the weekend forecast with Chun Sung-cho. She joins us from Goyangsi City.
Good morning to you, Sung-cho.
Good morning, guys. Yes, it was so warm yesterday afternoon that I found myself having to take off my jacket in the middle of the day when I was walking outside. Mercury levels reached 21 degrees Celsius here in Seoul yesterday, which set the record for being the warmest day for this time of the season in 34 days. And it looks like this trend of warmer than average conditions will continue through end of the week. An area of high pressure over central China is greatly affecting our weather system, bringing warm air and partly cloudy skies to the entire country. But along with it is high levels of microdust in the air. This can potentially raise the alert system in the greater Seoul area to bad this morning. Especially if you have respiratory problems, it'd be best to wear a mask on your way out. And also the temperature gap between the highs and lows will grow bigger as daytime temperatures soar. So if you're wondering how to dress today, my tip would be to wear multiple layers of clothes so that you can adjust according to, depending on how warm you feel throughout the day. And with that, let's take a closer look at today's temperature readings around the nation. Currently, Seoul is starting off with a relatively warm morning at 7.6 degrees Celsius, and mercury levels will top at 21 in the afternoon, just like yesterday. This is all for me with the weather forecast, and I'll be back in just a bit to show you a brand new Hanok village here in Goyang, Gyeonggi-do Province.
There had been suspicions all along, but now it appears to have been confirmed. The Islamic State group says it was behind Wednesday's deadly attack at a national museum in Tunisia that killed more than 20 people, including the gunman. We'll connect with our Eunice Kim, who's standing by at the news center for more on this. Good morning, Eunice.
Good morning.
What more can you tell us?
Well, Min-jung, even before this online announcement, the government of Tunisia, including its president, had already affirmed their firm resolve against terrorists trying to tear down its young democracy. It is in this context that audio recording was dispersed on Twitter, the Islamic State group praising the two gunmen attackers killed in the slaughter mission as knights of IS and also threatening more strikes to come. In the ongoing probe, Tunisia's presidential office said police have arrested 9 suspects, 4 of them allegedly directly linked to the museum assault, while the remaining 5 believed to be part of a terrorist cell. Meanwhile, the overall death toll has been raised to 25, including 20 foreign tourists from several nations, many of them shot at while getting off a tour bus that had brought them to the museum from a cruise liner. Nearly 50 others are reported hurt. The North African country, while long viewed as a rare bright spot in the so-called Arab Spring, is nonetheless known to have several militant groups, particularly as it does border Libya to the east. Now, relatedly, the United Nations Human Rights Office is urging the Security Council to prosecute IS for its crimes against humanity, war crimes, and also possible genocide at the International Criminal Court. Tensions between the White House and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been raised by another notch this morning as the Barack Obama administration says it will reevaluate its support of Israel at the United Nations. White House spokesman Josh Earnest said it was clear the Israeli leader had sharply turned away from his previous commitment to a two-state solution with Palestine, citing comments Netanyahu had made in the final hours of election campaigning earlier this week that a Palestinian state would not exist under his watch. Earnest clarified that no policy decisions have been made. He also said U.S. officials were in touch with their Israeli counterparts to arrange a phone call between the two leaders soon. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Netanyahu earlier appeared to backtrack from his stance, telling a U.S. broadcaster that he indeed wanted a two-state solution, but that the circumstances needed to change.
And coming back to Northeast Asia, U.S. First Lady Michelle Obama is now in Japan for a 3-day trip. She got a very warm welcome there, and she will be promoting education for girls around the world.
Yeah, that's right. As you saw on the newspapers as well, this initiative is called Let Girls Learn, and she is taking it beyond America's borders after launching it last summer with U.S. aid. She will move on to Cambodia later today. Michelle Obama touching down in Tokyo on Wednesday. She already met with Japan's Emperor Akihito and Empress Michiko at the Imperial Palace amid light rain before also catching up with Prime Minister Shinzo Abe for lunch at the restaurant of his wife, Akie Abe, a visit which he had joked was his first. Now, the two first ladies have pledged to strengthen bilateral cooperation to give more girls globally an opportunity at education, especially in developing countries. Recalling the huge role education had in her own life's successes, Obama said that 62 million girls not in school were a profound waste of human potential and a profound loss for the world. Now, separately, Japanese police say they have arrested a 52-year-old man from Okinawa who could be tied to the telephone threats made to the U.S. Embassy last month against the life of U.S. Ambassador Caroline Kennedy. News of these threats had emerged as Michelle Obama arrived in Tokyo earlier this week. Minjang.
All right, I guess we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you, Eunice.
You bet.
And coming up later on Korea Today, they have rekindled a flame for Korean dramas and movies around the world. We'll be looking at the charm of actors Lee Jong-suk, Kim Woo-bin, and Lee Min-ho, who are behind the new wave of popularity. They're dubbed the Hallyu Troika. In fact, many excited fans will be looking forward to this one, I'm sure, so do stay tuned. And time now to check the stories trending online. The passing of the owner of the famous 1001 restaurant in Gwangju City has captivated many online. But the good news is that the restaurant will continue running.
That's right. Fellow shop owners will continue that legacy of serving warm meals for just 1,001 to those in need. And we have Sinsa-dong joining us with more on that. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. So the other vendors all got together to fulfill her dying wish and run the restaurant on her behalf. Now, Ms. Kim Sun-ja opened the restaurant back in 2010 at a traditional market in Gwangju and offered traditional set meals consisting of rice, soup, and 3 or 4 side dishes, all for just 1,000 won. She wanted to create a system where the disadvantaged could have a warm meal but still paid a nominal fee so that they didn't feel ashamed about it. Word spread and soon around 100 homeless and unemployed customers came every day. Then in 2012, Kim Sun-ja was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and despite fighting it for 3 years, she passed away on Wednesday. Her 6 children agreed to let the other vendors continue the legacy.
1,001 is about $1, so it's quite amazing how she was able to serve so many people with food with 1,000 won.
Right, it's even a bit less than $1. So, as you mentioned, 1,000 won per meal simply wasn't enough to cover all the expenses, but thankfully there was always a stream of people willing to help out. For example, students at local schools would volunteer with the dishes and cleaning up. There were people sending in sacks of rice and sacks of potatoes regularly. And also a man who used to come and eat a meal but left not 1,000 won, but 200,000 won.
Wow.
So people like that, they all helped out.
So it was a concerted effort.
Definitely a team effort. And moving on, with the Korean population aging at a very fast rate, the average age of Koreans, the Korean average age, has now entered the 40s. According to data released yesterday by Statistics Korea, the average age of Koreans in 1980 was 26. This increased to 39 in 2013, and this year it's forecast to be 40.3. The main reason for this is a continuously declining birth rate. Within 20 years, the number of births per year has almost halved from 720,000 births in 1995 to only 320,000 last year. And the government has in turn rolled out a series of policies aimed at encouraging birth, such as subsidizing a wider range of medical costs related to pregnancy and childbirth, as well as increasing the number of state-run childcare facilities to ease the burden on new parents. And wrapping up on a lighter note, I have some pictures to show you about fishing. Now, this huge fish has been generating a lot of attention yesterday and today. It is an oarfish. So this man was fishing and he discovered this giant oarfish washed up nearby.
He caught it.
Oh, he didn't catch it, he just discovered it.
He just discovered it, he picked it up. So he's very lucky. Now this one is 1.83 meters in length, so definitely taller than me. And wider, 30 centimeters in width.
Wow, that is a long fish.
Now, while we're on the topic of big catches, I'm going to show you a couple more. You know megi, or catfish that we eat in meontang soups?
Right.
Well, imagine how many servings you can get out of this one.
I mean, how many servings? How are you going to cook it?
Exactly. This one is 2.67 meters and 127 kilograms. It was caught in Italy last month.
You know, that man could have been the catch, actually, not the fish. But
with such a big catch here.
My goodness.
And this giant stingray. This one was caught in Bangkok last week. This one is 4.3 meters wide, and let's see, it was 363 kilograms. Now, although it hasn't been confirmed yet, experts believe that this is the largest freshwater stingray to ever have been caught.
Is it alive? It looks alive.
It is alive, yeah, it was caught fresh.
But it's a pity that we cannot eat stingrays. I mean, not that,
Would have made for a big dish.
Right, definitely. All right, thank you, Ms. Orang. That was interesting.
Thank you. All right, still ahead on Korea today. A wind of change is in the neighborhood of Sinsa-dong for office workers, breaking away from some of the conventional after-work dinners that involved a lot of drinking and eating. Now there are new ideas and more creative hangout spots with good food that Joe McPherson is going to get a look at.
And TGI Friday, everyone, as we kick things off with the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Games, as the IOC concluded their 4 days of the IOC Coordination Commission, with the chair of IOC's Coordination Committee, Gunilla Lindberg, holding a presser at the end of the day. And despite some bumps on the road, Gunilla Lindberg sounded optimistic over the current status of the Pyeongchang Winter Games, stating that she's convinced the event will be ready in time, but that there's no time to lose. She added that there's been big progress made since their last visit in January and that they should be ready for the test launch set to take place in February of 2016. Now, while the Pyeongchang Winter Games Organizing Committee got the rather good news from the IOC, Park Tae-hwan and his team are looking for some good news themselves as they left for the Marine Boys hearing on Thursday. Now, with this recent doping allegations, Park Tae-hwan and his team left for Lausanne, Switzerland on Thursday in order to prepare for the hearing with FINA set for the 23rd. With his career on the line, Park Tae-hwan will have a legal rep based in Switzerland who specializes in doping by his side. And now with the Ulsan Mobis Phoebus taking Game 1 from the Changwon LG Sakers on Wednesday night, the Wonju-dong Promi and the Incheon ET-Land Elephants went into their Game 1 of the Round of 4 Best-of-5 series on Thursday night. Now, despite Dongwoo being the higher seed here, ET-Land using their momentum from their first round victory to control the paint from the start as they take a nice 36-30 lead going into halftime. But the Dongwoo offense lights it up in the third quarter of the game to rally back and take a 53-47 lead going into the fourth quarter. But what do you know, in the final quarter, Dongwoo may be too rested for the series as ET-Land rallies back to take the lead with Ricardo Powell posting up 21 points, 10 rebounds as ET-Land takes Game 1 66-62. And while the KBL playoff games are in full throttle, the V-League will kick off their postseason this weekend with some big matchups right from the start. Now, first off, over on the Women's League best-of-3 series set for Hyundai Hillstate and IBK Altos, who will face off before advancing to the championship series, as Korea Expressway, who are seeking their first title, will wait for the winner of that series. Meanwhile, over on the men's league, KEPCO Vicstorm and OK Savings Bank square off in the first round before the winner of that series will face off against the 8-time champions Samsunghwaja Blue Fangs as the Blue Fangs seek their 8th consecutive championship title. Now, on a side note, Korea did fail to get the hosting rights to the 2019 Women's World Cup over to France, but there's always next time, right? Well, with that said, that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Well, we gave you one thing to do this weekend, checking out camellias in Jeollado province.
Right.
But if you are looking for something closer to home in Seoul, there is a new spot to check out. Or actually, not right away, but in
But there's
I suppose. Okay, I take that back.
No. It's on the process of getting built, and Jeon Suk-jo is over there in the Goyangsi city to give you an up close and personal look. And this is, I would say, an exclusive there. It hasn't been seen before, so we'll go to Sung-jo.
Good morning, guys, again. There is definitely something serene and peaceful and relaxing about being in a Hanok village, don't you think? Looking at all these beautiful Korean traditional houses. And when you think of a Hanok village, you usually think of the ones in Bukchon, Seoul or Jeonju in Jeollabuk-do province. But right now, there is a new one coming up soon, right here in Goyang City. And it's not just going to be new, guys. It's going to be the biggest in the entire country. So right now, I'm currently at the Ilsan Hanok village, also known as Jeonghwa. Wow, take a look at this majestic looking Hanok house, guys, and look at the intricate design of the roofs and everything. So there are currently 21 Hanoks that are open to the public, and out of the 72 ones that are scheduled to be completed by the year 2018. Enough talking, let's take a closer look inside and step inside the Hanok house. Ooh. I feel like I'm traveling back in time, back to the Joseon dynasty or something. So this is the inside. Ooh, it's very spacious and roomy, right? With a high ceiling and everything. And do you notice that all this is made of wood? Wooden wall and wooden columns. And I think it's such a classic and antique touch to the entire structure. And I think that's why it gives me the sense of being closer to nature. In fact, the primary materials used to build all these Hanok houses in the village are wood and clay. No artificial materials used, except for the restroom areas. So this is very gorgeous looking. And I have something special for you guys. When I open the door, ta-da! Wow, take a look at this breathtaking view. Wow. It's so peaceful here, and you can look down the village, the entire village, and you can see the mountains far outside. And with the misty conditions right now, I think it looks even more picturesque. So there's one more special thing about this village. There is a light festival going on until the end of May. The village itself isn't officially open right now, and you can only visit during the opening hours, evening hours for the light festival. So once the sun sets and darkness falls, you'll see all these Hanoks light up with thousands of LED lights, and that's definitely a scene that you won't be able to have during the day. So this entire village will be decorated with various sculptures, shining in different colors. So why don't you, especially with the warmer weather these days, why don't you come here and visit here with your loved ones and families over the weekend and spend some memorable times together. This has been Jeon Suk-jo, Korea Today.
Now, a new group of young Korean actors are winning over the hearts of many overseas. I think they have similarities. 1, they're tall. 2, they're good looking. And 3, they have become established actors of Korea.
Yeah, I wish I could think of a smart comeback to that, but yeah. So I'm average.
Does it hurt? And Denny Hong joins us. Tell us more about these 3 actors.
Good morning, Denny.
Yeah, tall guy.
Good morning. Not so much young anymore, but when it comes to, I guess, the Korean drama explosion popularity, you have to kind of mention the initial names like, Bae Young-jun, Lee Young-in, Tae-ju as well, too. But, the momentum has been passed on. Last year, we had like Kim Soo-hyun mania going on. And this year, it seems like there is a new trio of young actors for sure. And so we're going to be taking a look at these 3 actors and, of course, their popularity. K-pop lovers around the world have something new to turn their attention to these days, and that would be a group of actors in their 20s who are at the top of their game with their unique celebrity qualities and acting skills, breaking records in Asia and all the way over in the Middle East. We look at the new face of Korean wave actors dubbed the Hallyu Troika. The first name behind the new Hallyu wave is Lee Jong-suk, who has seen explosive popularity in China. The TV dramas he featured in over the past 2 years have seen skyrocketing reception. In China, with a population of 1.3 billion, the shows he starred in have accumulated 2 billion hits.
또 많이 반겨주시고요. 예쁜 모습으로 만났으면 좋겠습니다.
Lee Jong-suk's popularity in China is evident in the drama Pinocchio that he featured in. It nabbed an average of $280,000 per episode, roughly 8 times the cost of My Love from the Star. He also topped rankings on Chinese media for the most anticipated actor in 2015, surpassing Kim Soo-hyun.
In the case of Lee Jong-suk, he has been in some strong pieces such as Pinocchio and I Can Hear Your Voice, along with other big names. His popularity comes from his great acting based on good storylines that appeal to his viewers.
Lee Jong-suk is also known for his boy-like charm, but is able to act out more complicated characters involving an elaborate portrayal of emotions. He's already known for taking on difficult and dangerous action stunts, going as far as eating a snake with his bare hands.
That's a real snake.
Thanks to all this work behind his performances, countries around the world, including China, have been swept up in Lee Jong-suk fever. His popularity stretches beyond Asia to other regions, landing him the top spot in one of the largest English-speaking Hallyu communities, raising the level of expectations for the star. Another actor making a move as one of the next big Hallyu stars is Kim Woo-bin, known to be best friends with Lee Jong-suk from their modeling days. Unlike many of the popular Hallyu stars in the past who were loved for their gentle image, Kim Woo-bin takes things in the opposite direction. He is known for his presence as a bad boy or villain in some shows.
너 대신 차 한 상을 무릎 꿇렸나 내가?
From the get-go, I thought of Woo-bin for the role of Chiyeok and Non-S, and I think it has led to some great results.
With his unique presence, Kim Woo-bin has been popular among many film directors. His silver screen debut, Friend, The Great Legacy, premiered in North America, and the following piece, The Con Artist, took off not only North America, but also in Taiwan, China, Singapore, and the Philippines, providing his potential of becoming a global name.
In the case of the movie The Con Artist, they say deals have already been signed with countries including the Philippines, and this really reflects the weight that Kim Woo-bin's name carries at the moment. It's also why you can expect a lot of developments in the future.
With much talk surrounding his performance as a new actor, a lot of attention is also on his next film, scheduled to premiere this month.
네, 안녕하세요. 치오 역을 맡은 김우빈입니다. 영화제 때보다도 더 많이 와주신 것 같아요. 이렇게 저희 영화를 위해서 시간 내주셔서 진심으로 감사합니다.
고민을 해볼 테니까 그냥 용돈은 He has stripped himself clean of the rough and tough image and is taking on a role in a comedy this time, a next step for him to broaden his scope of acting. The last of the new Hallyu trio is Lee Min-ho. He first stepped in the limelight by playing the popular role of Lee Jong-suk in the TV series Boys Over Flowers, but now he has become so much more than a well-known name. He took part as a Hallyu Star representative in a meeting led by the president. Last month, during his visit to the Philippines, the local media went into a frenzy on coverage, even drawing out jokes that the day should be designated a public holiday. Lee Min-ho's popularity has now stretched as far as the Middle East.
In the case of Arab countries, it's hard to break into the culture sometimes, so the popularity of Korean stars mostly was confined to idol singers. This is why Lee Min-ho's popularity there is really considered an anomaly.
His dramas have been exported to some 80 countries, including Israel and Yemen, while some Arabic countries have been carrying out a campaign to invite him over to the region. With his repeated success in TV dramas, eyes are also on his debut on the silver screen. Surprising many, he stepped away from the roles that have helped build his popularity and chose a noir film for his debut. This film made it across Asia, North America, and even Australia for screenings.
내가 첫 영화를 하게 되면 그렇게 조금 배우적인 색깔을 짙게 띌 수 있는 감독님과 하고 싶다는 생각을 하고 있었고.
Instead of latching on to his current popularity, Lee Min-ho is taking gradual steps towards becoming a more accomplished actor. Despite some invitations from Hollywood, the actor has turned offers down, saying he has still more to learn, raising the level of expectation for how his career will mature over the years, even on the global stage. With their looks, their versatility, and acting that rises to the occasion, these are the new Hallyu media troika who are fueling global popularity and creating much more for fans to look forward to.
All three stars are pretty young. They're pretty, and they're pretty young as well. And you would think they've made a name for themselves at a young age, but that's not necessarily the case.
When it comes to, let's say, for example, like Lee Min-ho as well, he actually spent about 6 years of his start in his career as a no-name actor. You know, he had roles canceled on him, a series that he was involved with got taken off the air early, and so it took him a while before he got that iconic role in Boys Over Flowers. And since then, he says he's used that anxiety he felt about whether he'll be successful or not those first 6 years to help him to act those more emotional moments, especially like for Gangnam Blues. And also for like Lee Jong-suk and Kim Woo-bin, they might be newer as actors, but they've been involved since their teens. So it's been about roughly 10 years for both of them in their career.
10 years, wow.
Speaking of which, Kim Woo-bin and Lee Jong-suk, they're best friends from modeling. And when you make that transition from modeling to acting, it's likely that people do actually make some harsh criticisms on their acting, but they're pretty good.
Well, they've received a lot of, I guess, accolades to their acting abilities. And when it comes to Lee Jong-suk, he says that one of his role models, or a couple of them actually, like Kang Dong-won and Bi, who's also made that transition into the acting genre. And for him, he says as well that when it comes to his casting, he was cast off the streets at a young age. He wanted to like go in one direction on his career, but he debuted as a model. He actually trained for about 3 months as a rapper for an idol group.
A rapper?
And so all these things did happen, but eventually it took him about 6 years before he could finally transition into acting, which is where he wanted to be.
Talk about a jack of all trades, you know?
And we've seen a lot of Hallyu stars going global, but I don't remember seeing this extent of popularity for quite a while. So what's making them different?
Well, I think like everything, there's kind of a plateau. So if you look at the initial Korean dramas, you have that melodramatic, you know, romantic feeling. But then people started saying it got a little bit repetitive. So it's kind of like, if it's not broke, why fix it? And so they were kind of going on this trend. Eventually, it just kind of fizzled out, and now you're having more variety of roles, and of course, you know, the acting is important. So I think because of the roles that are available now, and of course these three young actors, you're seeing this resurgence of popularity.
All right, sounds great. More luck to them, and we hope to see them on the big screen and the small screen in the future. Thank you very much.
No problem.
right, so we're going to take a trip to Sinsa-dong, and that's right in the heart of Seoul in Gangnam area. And this place is actually known for its aguchim, right? It's a specialty.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was like the go-to neighborhood for something chic and trendy.
Well, now, from about 5 or 6 years ago, it's been turning in that direction, and Joe McPherson has more on that for us. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. Yes, you're right. So there are new ways to spend your time after work and out of the office, and a lot of those activities can be found in Sinsa-dong. So let's go check it out. We are in the Sinsa-dong neighborhood of the Gangnam-gu district. We are surrounded by a sea of office buildings, and for the office workers here, there are a lot of places to hang out and unwind. But this place is not just about coffee and drinks. So let's go check it out. First is the manhwa comic book cafe called Sam, where many office workers find refuge. Enter the homey decor full of your favorite comic books that will bring back memories from your school days. Rest for office workers in the past usually meant going to saunas, noraebang, and playing pool. The options were pretty limited. But one of the places that's becoming a new crowd-pleasing destination is these manhwa cafes.
On the weekdays, office workers come here during their lunch hour or to take a break. Also, for people in sales, they sometimes come to take a nap between meetings.
The reason why this spot is so popular is the fun furniture that allows you to roll around and kick back just as if you were in your own living room. One of the questions people face every day is what to eat for lunch. Instead of the same old choices, more office workers these days are using their precious lunch breaks to try out something new, to enjoy some food and kick back while doing so. One of the places that lets you do this and is loved by people of all ages is Outdoor Namu. The setup makes you feel like you're almost camping outdoors. The most popular dish on the menu is hanyu bulgogi and fresh mozzarella. A baguette is topped with bulgogi and different kinds of cheese. It's baked in the oven. Add the final touches of pineapple and rucola, and you have your spicy bulgogi meal with the rich flavors of cheese melded together.
We sometimes marinate bulgogi and pineapple anyway, so this works perfectly. Bulgogi, sandwich form, works great.
Another favorite that brings out the flavors of Korean garlic is the garlic gorgonzola pizza. These fusion dishes that highlight the best in different cuisines are said to be extremely popular with female office workers in the area.
My office is right around here, so I come here to eat lunch a lot. It kind of feels like I'm out camping, so it helps blow off some steam from the morning.
Enjoying a cup of tea after lunch is an important ritual of the day for many, so places that give you some relaxation from the busy morning are always a favorite choice. What makes this place special is the foot bath in the corner of the store. Soak your feet in the warm water and see your stress and fatigue dissipate. Popular on the menu is hyangtongcha tea, which relieves the stress from your eyes and shoulders after long hours of sitting at the desk. It comes with a soothing peppermint taste, and enjoying it while you soak your feet will give you some peace and quiet away from work. It may be considered one of the hallmarks of being an office worker in Korea, the office dinners. These gatherings can sometimes add more stress to your load because they stretch on into late hours and can involve a lot of drinking. But this culture is changing over time as well, and the social gatherings are taking place at different venues. This restaurant Sanho is a popular dinner outing spot for a lot of office workers around the Sinsa-dong area. One of the favorites for office dinners is, of course, meat. What Sanho has managed to do, though, is take the average dish and turn it into a delicacy in its own right. The first dish is the freshest of combinations with small octopus and yuke, otherwise known as Korean beef tartare. The The live octopus is thinly sliced and placed with the fresh beef. Top it with an egg yolk and pine nut sprinkles, and you have your beef octopus dish full of bouncy flavors. Ooh, yeah, there we go. Minerally, perfectly seasoned. The egg yolk just binds everything together. Jeonbok samhap, which brings together abalone, steamed pork, and aged kimchi, is a fantastic combination popular on their menu. Instead of using fermented skate that's hard to swallow for many because of its sharp, tangy smell and taste, they've plated abalone instead. The place offers a fancier ambiance with comfort compared to some of the conventional rowdy dinner spots and creates the best atmosphere to catch up with your colleagues. You may have to spend most of your day in an office, but there's so much more to enjoy and embrace on the streets, so how about planning a fun hangout after work in Sinsa-dong?
Ooh, that's good.
So Sinsa-dong has become a place filled with offices and shops.
Right.
But for me, when I think about Sinsa-dong, what pops in my mind is 가로수길.
Right. A lot of people think 가로수길 with all of its cute cafes and restaurants and shops. But it did not always be that way. You know, after the 80s, it's really changed a lot. It used to be boutiques, galleries, even film studios were there. But then all these office buildings have popped up, and it's always had office workers, but it's really heavy with office workers these days. But you know, a lot of people still know it as 가로수길. It's very popular with visitors. And the tree-lined streets and everything?
It was sort of the headquarters for some of the fashion designers and people in the arts, media.
Right.
And it wasn't for the general public to walk around in, but then little shops have started opening up, and it became like one of the hot spots in the 2000s.
Right, it has, especially, I say, around 2010 or so.
Around there,
really,
actually.
really big.
Okay, so I've been noticing a trend in people going to manhwabangs or comic book rooms and areas where you can actually just take a break, relax, and read something in quiet and even
During
doze
your
off.
lunch break also these days.
Right, and actually, there are so many ways for people to relax. There are places that are napping rooms with hammocks. No. Here, now we get freaky. There's some places where you can actually get an IV, a nutritional IV during your break.
That's taking it to a whole new level.
and there are pubs that have special rooms in the back where you can take a nap. So there are just all these ways you can actually relax during your lunch break.
You can have a beer, go take a nap, come back out and have another beer.
That sounds nice.
Well, let's move on to office dinners now. Office dinners used to be equal to alcohol.
Right.
These are drinking gatherings.
Right.
But that's changing also. And we saw in the report a lot of these people gathering at Sinsa-dong for something different and something more chic.
I think we're seeing a big change in Korean night culture here, and that I would say some policies that some of the major companies have helped change this, where now people are going out for office dinners, they're going out for cultural events like exhibitions or performances, and you see businesses renting out entire movie theaters for the staff to go actually watch a movie. So that's been a new development, and a little less binge drinking, you could say.
A little bit of culture there.
A little bit, and it's a good way to get to know your fellow office workers, which is the point in the first place. You know, even little things like extending the lunch break a bit, taking long leisurely lunches, which is, you know, I would say it's about time we start taking a little more leisurely lunches.
All right, so what do you say we take a trip to the zoo for our trip?
The zoo?
Something new.
I'd rather go to the aguchin you were talking about.
We can go after the zoo.
Okay, to the zoo it is. All right, thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, well, this is where we say goodbye on this Friday morning.
All right, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday morning at 7 a.m.
Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.